Good evening, I'm Joel Labi in Hong Kong. Welcome to View TV News. Coming up on tonight's show, 3 workers killed in a fatal cave-in at a roadworks site in Hong Kong. The latest on Liu Xiaobo. Reports say mainland authorities tried to coerce his family into publicly agreeing he isn't fit to travel. And a takeover offer too good to refuse for Hong Kong's prized shipping company. More on what this means for the future of Orient Overseas. And we begin tonight with a fatal industrial accident in Hong Kong. 3 construction workers died after falling into a deep pit at a roadworks site. It happened at around 2:30 when the 3 plunged into a hole filled with water about 4 to 5 metres deep. 2 were unconscious as they were pulled out earlier this afternoon and were later confirmed dead in hospital. Rescue workers, including police officers from the water assault team, eventually pulled out the 3rd victim, but he was confirmed dead also later. Roads nearby have been cordoned off due to a suspected gas leak at the site. Now, Hong Kong is hitting back at criticism. It's lagging behind other so-called smart cities in Asia, rolling out its proposal to lawmakers on how to smarten up. It covers 6 areas, including mobility, living, environment, people, government and the economy. Some of the suggestions put forward include offering different types of digital payments and developing fintech. It also includes proposals to build smart hospitals as well as green and intelligent buildings. The development comes after the government commissioned a study on improving the city's management. A blueprint on the plan is expected to be drawn up late next year. And our reporter Evelina Leung is covering this story. And Evelina, how far is the Hong Kong lagging behind other so-called smart cities? I mean, Singapore is a great example.
Well, according to some experts and analysts that I have spoken to, Hong Kong is lagging greatly behind other cities or countries, including Singapore. I mean, let me give you several examples. Since 2008, Singapore has in place these electronic signboards, which tells drivers where there are available parking spaces. And this data is also available on phone apps. Now, apart from benefiting drivers, the government also uses technology to improve people's livelihoods and also ensure the safety of the elderly in Singapore. For example, there is a system called Sound9 in place in nursing homes to alert care providers if an elderly person has fallen down. Also in place in nursing homes are something called smart mats, which are mattresses that monitors the heart rate and breathing of the elderly and sends real-time data to the nurses so they'll know if the elderly is actually in danger. And you don't see any of this technology here in Hong Kong.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't even pay for a taxi with a credit card at the moment, so they desperately need to fix that up. Evelina, thank you so much for your coverage. Now, moving on, and lawmakers have accused the government of underestimating demand for elderly services in its master plan on how to care for Hong Kong's ageing population. Labor Party's Fernando Cheung went as far as saying it was built on sand. The Elderly Services Program plan estimates 108,000 people will require subsidised long-term care services by 2064. But a similar study by academics says the demand will be more than double that figure. The government plan also predicts there'll be a gradual drop in demand for elderly services of about 1% a year. That's based on the assumption there'll be an improvement in health conditions and increased income for the aged. Lawmakers are now questioning whether the government calculations are scientific, one calling it very conservative.
It's true that demand for care services will go up as ageing problem escalates, but we should take note that education and income levels are 2 very decisive factors when determining demand. It's already very conservative to assume a 1% drop in demand in the long term.
A sign that the government-LegCo relationship could be improving, Pan-Democrats showed up to the Chief Executive Carrie Lam's first luncheon with lawmakers, having boycotted similar events when CY Leung was in charge. This includes members of the Democratic Party, Civil Party and the Professionals Guild, but several opposition members, including Nathan Law and Eddie Chu, did not attend. In his speech, LegCo's president called on lawmakers to communicate positively with the administration, stating that both sides need to work today in order for things to work out later. To the latest now on cancer-stricken Nobel Prize laureate Liu Xiaobo. Mainland authorities have reportedly asked Liu's family to publicly agree with them that he is unable to travel abroad for treatment. That's according to the Information Centre for Human Rights and Democracy, which also says the family turned down that request. This after foreign doctors said Liu could actually be safely transferred overseas, contradicting previous statements by Chinese experts. Meantime, a video showing the specialists at Liu's bedside surfaced on YouTube yesterday. In it, the doctors praise mainland experts for letting them help him. News elsewhere next, and US President Donald Trump is once again backtracking, this time on a proposal to launch a joint cybersecurity unit with Russia. His fellow Republican members have scorned the idea, saying Moscow just cannot be trusted. Grace Lee has the details.
A sudden U-turn from U.S. President Donald Trump over a cybersecurity deal with Russia on Sunday. In the span of 12 hours, two of his tweets sparking backlash from both lawmakers and experts alike. First, floating the idea of a joint unit to protect against cyber attacks after meeting with Vladimir Putin at the G20, and then dismissing it after even fellow Republicans voiced disbelief. Senator Lindsey Graham saying, quote, "It's not the dumbest idea I have ever heard, but it's pretty close." Others pointing to the ongoing investigation into alleged Russian hacking during the 2016 election. Ex-Defense Secretary Ash Carter chiming in, "This is like the guy who robbed your house proposing a working group on burglary." Now, a different tune from Trump, trying to play down the deal and tweeting out that the cyber unit can't happen. The president has repeatedly dismissed and questioned the claims that Russia interfered in the election.
Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows for sure.
Trump says he pressed Putin on the subject at last week's meeting and that the Russian president vehemently denied it.
Well, just days after what was a highly anticipated meeting between Donald Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin, new details have emerged, again linking the president's campaign with Moscow. A New York Times report says Donald Trump Jr. agreed to meet with a Kremlin-tied lawyer during the 2016 run for the presidency after he was promised damaging information about Hillary Clinton. Quoting a statement from Trump Jr., the report says he admitted meeting Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya, who told him she had information people connected to Russia were in fact funding the Democratic National Committee and supporting Clinton. Trump's legal team says the president was, quote, not aware and did not attend the meeting. The political winds are certainly shifting in Japan. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will unveil a new-look cabinet in the coming weeks after his voter support crashed to a fresh low. Our Tokyo correspondent Mayu Yoshida has the latest surrounding the scandal-hit leader.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will reshuffle his cabinet and party leaders early next month to win back public trust. That's after Abe suffered humiliating defeat in Tokyo's assembly election last week. Now keep in mind that Abe's support rate is now at the lowest level since late 2012. His government went under fire due to a favoritism scandal. Now the scandal first became public in May after local reports here claimed there were internal documents from the Education Ministry regarding the opening of a university department. This caught public attention because the last such approval was made more than 50 years ago. Opposition lawmakers are now accusing the Prime Minister and his party whether they favored the school operator, who happens to be a close friend to the Prime Minister. On Monday, former Vice Education Minister Kihei Maekawa testified that Abe's office was clearly involved in the approval process. Maekawa is the latest whistleblower to raise questions about Abe's behind-the-scenes dealing. Abe, by the way, has repeatedly denied doing any favors to the school operator.
All right, well, coming up next, the latest from the world of business. Well, Hong Kong stocks have shrugged off last week's woes to claw back some much-needed lost ground. The Hang Seng Index, as you can see here, finishing up 0.6% to 25,500. Investors were buoyed by Wall Street's gains on Friday on the back of better-than-expected US jobs figures. Industrials and technology leading the way on the local market, with Tencent up about 1%. Now, another reason for today's share market bounce, a big play in the shipping industry. Chinese giant Costco has made a lucrative bid to buy its Hong Kong rival Orient Overseas International. The deal, worth more than $6 billion, and if it goes ahead, would make Costco the world's third largest shipping company. The firms had actually been dismissing merger rumours earlier in the year, but now that all is standing in its way is the approval from regulators. OOIL's majority owner accepted the bid late last week, and both firms are also part of the Ocean Alliance partnership, which was formed last year to take on the rival grouping of Maersk Line and MSC. The world's biggest private property developer is selling off Chinese tourism projects and hotels in one of the biggest real estate deals China has seen. Dalian Wanda is offloading the developments to Sunak for more than $9 billion. The deal includes most of the group's theme parks and leisure complexes, as well as 76 hotels. The move is likely to help Wanda cut its debt pile after being delisted in Hong Kong last year. Inflation rates in China are holding steady. The country's consumer price index rose 1.5% in June from a year earlier, which is in line with market expectations. Food prices, which make up the biggest slice of the index, also fell for a third straight month. China's producer price inflation was unchanged for June at 5.5%. Some analysts feel the figures confirm economic growth is largely cooling. Now, there's been a seismic green shift in the auto world of late, with more companies prepared to do away with traditional motors in favour of electricity. The announcements have sent a high-voltage shock through the industry, and as Laura Frickberg reports, it's forcing the makers of gas guzzlers to seriously look at their business models.
It may still tail Tesla, but Volvo's move towards going green appears to be part of a major change of direction for the industry and those who legislate it.